It's kind of like the Albert the alligator situation. I just don't see how they're allowed to stay, given the information that's out there.
Get her out of here and send her back to the zoo. I mean, I mean, I'm always.
If you're gonna serve wings or ranch, I don't want to do business with you. I get up and leave, even if I don't get the wings. It's either blue cheese or wings, and no fuck wings.
That's right, never mind who you thought it was. This is the Buffalluminati Podcast, your keeper of Buffalo secrets. We got a great episode for you today, but first, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I'm your host, Jake, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Jeff.
Is this thing on? Because it's about to be. It is a good episode in a way. It's not so good for our subject, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
We're obviously talking about our boy Tyrod.
That's right. And well done with the well done with your phrase of the day there. Very appropriate since we are talking about Rex Ryan era Bills. Well, partially Rex Ryan era Bills. Sean McDermott came in the end, but we are talking about Tyrod Taylor. You guys may remember him. He was the quarterback before Josh Allen. You may not remember him because the Josh Allen era has kind of all swept our collective memories of the bad times. I feel like a lot of Bills fans have become even a little too privileged now that we're in the good times once again. But
100%. Hey, you see it all the time.
Get it while you can. But on to our boy Tyrod. I was thinking about him the other day, and then he popped up in the news, and I was like, well, why don't we do an episode about it? So
they pop up in the news.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, it was the end of the EJ Manuel and the beginning of the Tyrod Taylor era that I really started getting into the Bills and football. And that's when I started with our fantasy league. And I appreciated him for what he was. He was no Josh Allen, but he had the spirit that I'm here for the team. I'm here for the Bills. I'm here for the Mafia. And I always appreciated that about him. And the fact that he broke the drought. A lot of people don't remember that it was actually, he was the quarterback at the time in Sean McDermott's first year that got him, the Bills playoff drought.
That's right. Got Kyle Williams in the playoffs. Broke the drought. Amazing time. And that was with them benching him that one game with Peterman. And him obviously infamously throwing all those interceptions. That's kind of the story of his career. Tyrod's career, they try and do that to him really everywhere he's been.
Yeah, I mean, we were looking at, just his career history, and there's a lot of interesting crossover. But before we get to that, why don't you just throw up some stats?
Yeah, I got you. So you mentioned earlier his career with the Bills and getting you back into football and everything like that. Really, that's where he's had most of his production, but that's also where he's had all of his consistency. So starting with us, averaged about a 62 or so % completion percentage, a little close to about 3,000 yards a season with the 3 seasons with us. Pretty solid touchdown to interception ratio. My man was not throwing picks. He was a game manager, not a game changer. Like you said, he's not Josh Allen. But we loved him for that because, we come from guys like Trent Edwards and people who are throwing picks and doing crazy stuff like that we don't really like. Came into the league 2011 as a rookie with the Ravens, 4 years. I had high hopes, you know what I mean? This was a time, now the league, you don't really sit a quarterback especially not for 4 years, behind a starting quarterback, and he got to sit behind a pretty good one Super Bowl. Sitting down the bench as a backup. He didn't have all that hype behind him, but he was. He showed some good stuff in his time in Baltimore when he did have to play.
And it's interesting that you say, because that's kind of the start of where my conspiracy theory about, we're going to talk a little bit about Tyrod's bad luck throughout his career. Unfortunately, this man cannot catch a break. But it's really after the Super Bowl win that it really falls apart for him, Jeff. I shouldn't say fall apart, because like you said, he had a great career with the Bills, but then he's kind of bounced around from team to team. His Bills career, he had quite a few injuries during that time. MCL. He had a concussion in 2017. And then after his Bills career, he went on to the Browns. And this is where it gets interesting, because every quarterback around Tyrod Taylor, with the exception of Nathan Peterman, because he's just kind of his own enigma and rain cloud of interceptions. But they all come back to the Browns for some reason, and it's crazy. So Flacco started off by benching Taylor. Not really benching. He came in as the backup, but still, he was second fiddle to Joe Flacco, who would later go on to the Browns last season and really help him out.
Win comeback player of the year over DeMar Hamlin, who died on the field.
That's unfortunately very true. They also drafted one Baker Mayfield. And everybody thought Mayfield was going to start. High prospect rookie. First overall in the 2018 draft. I didn't realize he was first overall. That's my bad.
The same year Josh got drafted.
That's correct. So everyone thought he was going to start for the Browns, but it ended up being Taylor, which is kind of the story of Mayfield's career. And then after the Browns, he went to the Chargers, did some work over there in the 2019 season. And then in the 2020 season, it was just the worst, the worst possible luck you could have. It would be comedic if it wasn't so sad. Pre-game warm-ups, says against the Chiefs. He suffered a rib injury during the game. Doctor goes to give him a shot of some painkiller and punctures his lung, causing him to be hospitalized and out for the rest of the season. Which I still hearing that back. Like, I remember when we talked about it when it happened, but like still hearing it back, it boggles the mind. I get that, accidents happen, but
yeah, I mean, as somebody who watches a lot of football and a lot of sports, like stuff like that is unheard of. I mean, you're talking about a league doctor, or somebody who's at least been, approved by the league.
Right, and they have to be like trauma certified too. It's not just
I'm sure you got to be legit to be working on these, high level athletes. And apparently, I don't know if this guy wasn't, or if it was just a bad day at the office, but yeah, like you said, he can't. As far as luck, like I said, like you don't hear about stuff like that happening. And this was the year, I'm pretty sure, like that was that the year Phillip Rivers left, and he was meant to take over and kind of play, at least start.
He was supposed to start, and over Justin Herbert.
He lost his starting position.
And then they had to put in Justin Herbert, who that worked out for him, but
well, yeah. I mean, that was going to happen regardless. Like, Tyrod was never going to be there long term.
Right. After that, on to the Texans, and after benching Mayfield, he benched one Deshaun Watson, because that was the start of all of his series of unfortunate events. I shouldn't say unfortunate. We'll just say
Well, who knows when those events started?
that's true.
There were so many.
Right. Allegedly.
Alleged. I mean, is it
Allegedly.
alleged at this point?
For
Just
safety.
because they settled. That one girl didn't settle.
For legal safety, I'm putting on the allegedly blanket. That's all I'm doing is...
Allegedly, until I find out otherwise. But
he hasn't
we all
been
know.
tried in criminal court, I don't believe. But anyway.
Allegedly, but we know.
Yeah.
we allegedly know what allegedly happened. And it's gross.
So yeah, Taylor benches Watson and hamstring injury in 2021. Placed on IR. And then he would move on to the Giants, where he did all right. 2022, he did get a huge concussion, though, which is actually, it said it was his 4th concussion in 5 years, which is not great. Yeah, this guy's had a rough go of it. And then 2023, he relieved Daniel Jones after Daniel Jones suffered a neck injury. And this year he's... What?
I laughed a little bit, and then I said, that's not funny.
Oh. I mean,
about Daniel Jones' neck.
No. And then, yeah, he served back up for Tommy Cutlets, Tommy DeVito. And then... I
mean, I just don't understand why. Like, because I thought Tyrod did better than DeVito did. And DeVito's not your Daniel Jones where you're like, this dude is who we're building our franchise on. So I don't understand why they're like pushing DeVito like that. Like because he was never really supposed to be that great, I don't think, in the beginning. And but they're like kind of pushing him now like he's supposed to, like, well, maybe what if he is good? But like, I think we've seen enough of him to know. So, like, I don't know. If I were the Giants, I would have put Tyrod over him when he was there. He's with the Jets now, but
right, and that's where we find him now, is with the New York Jets backing up Aaron Rodgers, and yeah, poor guy, be stuck there.
Yeah. Hey man, Aaron Rodgers might, I mean, not that, you never want to wish that on anybody, but, 40 years old, might get hurt.
That's true.
And Tyrod gets a couple games in. I don't know. He's a lot like, he's very much a journeyman. He's a lot like Fitzpatrick, except obviously not in like play style or anything like that, but like, just like I said, as a journeyman, he's been on so many different teams under so many different conditions and played behind so many guys, took the job at least temporarily. So like very similar careers, but I don't know. I don't see the Buffalo love as much.
Right, and I think it was because it was like a time in between I feel like there's a lot of love for Fitzpatrick as a drop quarterback.
For sure.
But he's like the only one for whatever reason. And then he was so close to the Josh Allen.
Even though Tyrod took us there.
Right, yeah. But like I said, I think people forget.
People don't, they just don't. I get that Josh is so amazing. Like, you know what I mean? You might be like, what? Who? But, Tyrod did the thing.
That's right. I need a Tyrod little people now. All right, Jeff, let's get into the off the field antics now, because like we said, he's just back up to Aaron Rodgers now. So until Aaron Rodgers retires, I don't know, whatever happens.
Croaks. I felt like you were going to say.
I didn't want to be quite that mean, but
I mean, honestly, he might keep playing until then, but I doubt it.
Time comes for us all, but
some of us sooner than others. God.
And how? Just imagine how much of a stir you got to cause to make the headlines over whatever Aaron Rodgers tweeted or said on Pat McAfee this week.
But that's the bright side for Tyrod is that that's going to be temporary because of those things that you said.
Right, it's going to be a few days, and then he's going to tweet something else new.
Yeah.
Or yep,
After the Jets shit game this week,
all will be forgiven.
Aaron Rodgers is going to go on McAfee or go into the post game press conference and say something stupid and blame his teammates like he's been doing. So
right,
it is what it is.
All that meditation did not bring up any self accountability, huh?
It doesn't seem to. All those books that he's read, and some of them he's recommended, and I've looked them up and I put them on wish lists, and I've been like, that seems like a book I want to read and get into, and good mindset to be in. But I don't know if he's following that.
Right. I mean, for someone that's just on such a quest for the fountain of youth, he really looks like it's running him ragged. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, it looks like it's stressing him out trying to stay young.
Yeah. So moving back to the subject of this episode, Tyrod Taylor, former Bills quarterback. I got a Newsweek article up here. I didn't want to go to New York Post for this, but new court documents claim that New York Jets quarterback Tyrod Taylor allegedly tried to get the sheriffs to evict his girlfriend and model Drea Michelle. Who the hell is that? Was that
She's a model, so I probably never heard of her.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is this a fashion model? Is this an Instagram model? Is this an OnlyFans model? Like, there's so many model titles now that, like, is she like famous? Has she been to Fashion Week and walked the catwalk, or is this, hey, check out my OnlyFans and my 20 subscribers, and they're just giving her that title to make it seem more important? It could go either way.
She has more than 20. I wouldn't be one. I'm not suggesting it. I'm saying she would have more than 20. But she doesn't need OnlyFans because she dates high-profile athletes who make lots of money.
That is true. And that's kind of what's causing all of this. Is it's obviously
and also she's a model.
Yeah, say it again, Jeff. But like we said, it's Tyrod Taylor's ex, now dating somebody in the NBA. I can't remember who, and has a child with that person. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, so I got a little article here that kind of it says what happened to Tyrod Taylor and Drea Michelle. Explains, she's a model and entrepreneur, and they are embroiled in a lawsuit. They apparently broke up in 2023. Taylor purchased the property for Michelle in August of 2022 with a verbal agreement to sell it to her eventually. She claims she puts money on it and has started a lawsuit in June of 24 against Taylor. By the way, this is a verbal contract, apparently. There was no written thing about the selling of the house to her or anything like that. So that just muddies the water so much. And it muddied it to the point where last month in November of 2024, while on a business trip, Michelle received a call from her nanny saying that the sheriffs had arrived to enforce an eviction. So Tyrod's kicking his ex out, and a lot of people are saying a lot of different things. I watched Nightcap with Skip and Chad Ochocinco, and they were having a debate about it. But I mean, I just don't know. It's if the house is in his name, he has the legal right to decide who lives there, just like anybody else, or who is welcome on that property. If she can prove otherwise, that she has put X amount of dollars into this house or payments to him, maybe that gives her a little bit more legal footing. But I just don't see how. It's kind of like the Albert the Alligator situation. I just don't see how they're allowed to stay, given the information that's out there.
Get her out of here and send her back to the zoo. I mean, I'm always. I'm always in favor of a man. I mean, listen, he sounds like he doesn't have a kid with her.
No, that's her
And
new boyfriend, who's some NBA guy that
yeah,
I
and
don't
she
know because
has
I don't follow basketball.
another kid from a previous relationship with another NFL cornerback. No, a cornerback, not a quarterback.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, obviously Tyrod sounds like the smart one. He didn't have a kid with her, and when you got no strings like that, then put her out if you got to. I don't know.
And I mean, at this point, if she's had enough time to move on, find a new man, have a child with that man. I think that man is now kind of responsible for the care of not only the woman, but especially the child. I don't think that, obviously Tyrod doesn't have any fiduciary responsibility to the child. They weren't married, so it doesn't seem like he has a fiduciary, like an alimony payment or something like that either. So yeah,
Yeah,
get up out of there.
and if you're Jalen Green from the Houston Rockets, who's her
There it is. Thank you for
new
finding that.
boo, why are you guys doing this? Why
So that he
tell her to
doesn't have
stop
to
this
buy a
man.
house and get
Maybe
home.
maybe he's smart too, but he already did have the kid, so maybe not.
It's a crazy situation and a crazy career for a very average guy.
Yeah. Honestly, and I don't mean that in the worst way. I mean, that's honestly hard to say about a professional football player, because obviously he's not an average human.
Right.
Maybe like you said, an average guy
We'll
with
say an
above
average
abilities.
NFL player.
He's an average guy with above average abilities.
Yeah, that's what's going on with Tyrod Taylor.
Why, Tyrod? Why?
Or Tyrod, yes, I'm sorry. That's another thing that we didn't really talk about, is that he
Come back to Buffalo. Just retire and then be the legend of the game at the Bills games, man. Come on.
Yeah, but real quick, one thing that we didn't talk about was he went how many years going by Tyrod Taylor? Everybody in the NFL, all the sports people, ESPN, whatever, everyone's like Tyrod. And then he just quietly comes out, actually it's Tyrod Taylor, which is, we've been trying to be respectful of that this entire episode. Maybe a slip up or two, but
Be a lot.
and still nobody calls him that. Nobody, because
Some do. Some
Yeah.
analysts I see do, but a lot of people still don't. Fans don't really.
right. And so, in case you didn't know, and you happen to be watching this, yes, it is Tyrod Taylor. But
Yeah.
it's an absolutely crazy, this is the type of thing.
I used to be one of those people. I was like, you let it go how long? No, your name's Tyrod now. But now that I'm a little older, I'm like, if that's what Mama said, then that's that's your name. Mama said your name's Tyrod, then your name's Tyrod.
That's right. Well, I think that's going to be it for this episode of the Buffalluminati.
Hey.
Yeah. Great discussion about one of the, like we said, I'm not even going to say lesser known Bills quarterbacks, but one of the overlooked Bills quarterbacks, especially since he is
surprisingly
so recent. Yeah, it's surprising.
Surprisingly overlooked. Come on, man.
I mean, I
Root
still
for Tyrod. We love Tyrod. We love Tyrod.
See, there it is. But yeah, I mean, I've always wished nothing but the best for him in his NFL career. He put in his work with the Bills, and I can appreciate that. So yeah, I just hope that things start looking up for him a little bit. He can get on a decent team and get this lady out of his house. But that'll do it for the Buffalluminati podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe and be a good neighbor today. That's all. We'll see you.